Hello Internet, James Allen from Out of 8, and today I'm playing turn-based god game Cubesis. In each little scenario you have to achieve a couple of objectives. The game comes with a 10 mission tutorial. You have to complete all the tutorial missions before you can actually start the game. And basically each tutorial tells you something new about the game. And then there's 20 more levels beyond that and a couple of campaigns, so I'm going to play through a couple of those. Much like the tutorial, you have to complete all the campaign missions in order. And one of the things that I've complained about in other games before is if you purchase the game, you should be able to access the entire game from the beginning. You shouldn't have to unlock each mission in order, especially in a game like this where a lot of the solutions are puzzle-like, where you have to kind of figure out the way to successfully complete the mission. And you can get stuck and then basically not be able to play the rest of the content that you paid money for. So, you know, it's fine to have a campaign that progresses in order, but you should be able to freely skip as many missions as you want at any time. So, with that out of the way, we'll play a couple of these missions here. So in this mission, basically you have to collect these treasure chests, you have to accumulate a certain amount of gold, and do a certain amount of food. So what you have are these little cube guys. They can build structures. So your structures are a field, which can be built on these grassy areas that gives you grain. Grain is consumed by your population over time, so you have to make sure to maintain your fields, as fields will dry out over time and then you'll have to replace them. You can build a city, which will give you additional income and population. You can build the church, which will prevent the seas from rising, which I'll have to do in order to reach these little things over on the side. You can do granaries, which will store more food. You can do this thing right here, which is disabled for this particular mission, which actually stops the warming that's going to eventually happen and causing the seas to rise. You have this weather vane that changes the wind direction in order to prevent your krauts from drying out. And you have this plug, which also would have been useful to halt rising seas. And then you can alter the landscape either up or down. Leveling down will give you additional resources. So I'm going to have this first guy here just found a city. And I'll have this other guy do a field over on the side. And then you end your turn. And eventually your population will grow as it did right there. So I'm going to move this guy out and have him do another field so that I kind of maintain my field production here. So next guy who spawns, I'm going to have him level down to get more stone so I can build my next structure. So I need to build a church here. Because of the isometric perspective of the game, that can't be rotated and the resolution's kind of low. And the mouse button just kind of does this, which is really weird. It can be difficult to select objects behind other objects, and I've accidentally selected the wrong object on many occasions. So kind of part of the puzzle is spacing things out far enough where you don't have to worry about doing that. And what you can do is you can queue up future actions, which is what I'm doing for this guy. So I'm going to have him build a church, that blue dot, which he'll do in the next turn, which will help to push down the rising tide here. So I actually need to start doing more cities here. So city, which will give me more guys to mess with. And we'll start mining this area here. My grain is okay, so I need to start focusing on a granary, which I need 50 gold to do. So, yeah. So you have to kind of appease these two gods by building basically churches for each of them. So it's really a game of resource management and then solving the puzzles as you progress here. So I'm going to send this guy over here and make another field. Alright. I do want another city. Alright. Now I want a granary, so I need more stone. And another church. Alright. My fields are about to dry up here, so I need to build some more replacements here. That's what that little exclamation point means. There we go. And you're also racing against the clock on most of these missions, so you have to be kind of quick. I found that the level of difficulty is pretty high. I haven't had the best luck completing the missions, which is why I'm a little bit complaining about not being able to unlock things. I actually had to get a cheat code from the developer which unlocked the first 10 levels or so. Otherwise I would have been basically stuck, you know, from the get-go. Alright, he's good. Alright, I need my granary. I also need to go get these treasure chests. I'll send this guy up here to do that. So you kind of have to keep an eye on... There you go. Yeah, I'm going to be screwed here in a little bit. Because I wasn't paying attention. As I said, you have to keep an eye on your food supply. And a lot of the missions have a really delicate balance in. There we go. So that's solved, basically. Alright, you're still hanging out up here. I'll make you build a field while you're up there. Alright. Could you... Oh, there's my granary. Alright. Need that. Probably need one more. It's also good to have the granaries just to have a basic, constant, you know, backup supply of food for when you forget that you need to replace your fields. Alright, I think I'm in fairly decent shape. I could use another city. So I'll level down. Over here. You have to be careful when you're mining because you can make it so you can't access parts of the map if you mine kind of inefficiently. Alright, now we need another city, and then we'll probably start focusing on churches here. Try to get this sea level down so I can reach these other two. I might need 5. That's kind of a lot. Luckily, your population kind of stays in the city, so you can kind of have backup guys, so you can queue up a bunch of stuff at once. So I'll put him right there. Alright, I should be in pretty good shape, other than replacing my fields that are going to dry up. And you see, once you get your economy running, it's fairly easy to kind of boom everything here. So, let's see here. Send this guy down to get this. Yeah, see, I'm about to drown here. Not fast enough. Alright, need to start mining away and get these churches up. You know, I got stuck on one of the tutorial missions, which kind of speaks for the level of difficulty in the game. I need to get these stinking churches up. It's still not super high. Alright, come on. One more stone for that. You see, the gameplay is kind of tedious and repetitive. You know, you're basically doing the same actions over and over again. You know, my food isn't doing too hot either. got a lot of possible fields, so that's not a big deal. Just need more churches. Once your kind of civilization gets, you know, built a lot, it can be difficult to remember which things are churches and which things are buildings. And cities. Here's another church. Alright. Let's get some more fields up. How's my food? My food's growing 14 a turn. That's pretty good. Alright. Still not building enough stupid churches. So, anyway, you know, basically what you would do is just keep building churches. My stuff's getting flooded. And then collect these things on the side. Like I said, it's kind of, you know, if you don't strike... The solutions for the puzzles aren't like you must do this in this order, but if you don't strike the right balance, you can get yourself stuck in a loop and make it impossible to solve, which is kind of why I have the problem with having to unlock all the levels. There is actually one sandbox level that's randomly generated, but couldn't ask me which one that is because I haven't been able to reach that part of the game. You know, this one, you basically got to level down and level back up on the other side, so. City. But you don't have to worry about food, so that's good. So, you know, you can kind of figure this out. Make little stairs. Yay. You know, basically doing this over and over again and then back up on the other side, so you get the idea for that. Let's show off a couple more here. So, you know, overall the game has some interesting ideas. It's just that, man, I had this little briefing. Between the repetitive actions and the level of difficulty and the inability to see behind objects and rotate your view, and zoom in, for that matter. You know, it doesn't really appeal to me too much. No, I won't be able to do that. No, let's just build a city. Which will get flooded eventually, but that's alright. Yeah. So basically you have to flood this area to let the boat get up and capture that, because the little cube guys won't go into the water. You get a weather vane this time though. Alright, what do I want to do? Oh, you can't actually do that. Guess you have to use a weather vane to do it. Well, anyway, I honestly don't feel like doing that. So we'll go to the next one. We'll just kind of show off some of these levels here. It does seem like that, doesn't it? So you gotta go get the boat. Well, or you could level up. You see, once you use somebody, they are consumed. Well, that was dumb. 'Cause I can't build my city with that. Alright, you build the city. You build the field. Oh, and now I don't have anything. This is annoying. This is what I'm talking about. Like, it's free-form solutions, but you kind of really... And I can't level up. I can level down on that side. But you really have to kind of do what the developers have in mind. There we go. Alright, there's one. I'm sure the other two are out to sea, yep. So I gotta go get that boat. Which means I gotta bring the ocean back down. Through churches. Which is what I'll do. I need two, so we'll just mine down a couple. Here's the church. I need way more churches. Food should be alright though. Until the fields dry up, of course. I actually kind of want to build another city. Just to give me more flexibility. Alright, there's my church. Gosh, you need like churches on every single square for you to survive. You know, there's, I don't know, some of the balance things I have issues with. Level down. Level down. I need 35. There's my church. Really need to build it up there. So I want to build it on the sand because I don't want to use up cropland for it. I like that you can queue up the actions in advance, so you don't have to do it every single turn. Getting there. I need 40. There we go. You happy yet? It's clearly not. Alright. Let's build one granary so I can store some food, and I need more food. You know, with how close together these buildings are, it's getting kind of hard to see behind objects. Behind all these buildings that I have in this tiny, tiny spot. Alright. I don't think I'm going to be able to beat this. Again. Tons of food. Oh, there goes the water. Yeah, you know, you get the idea. So, I mean, this shows you all the different structures and stuff. So, that, you know, basically all the levels are like this. You have to figure out the trick for each level. So it's, you know, it's not just kind of a free-form God game where you have to do some, you know, resource limit to pass the level. Some of the tutorials are like that. Usually it's you have to figure out how to get to inaccessible portions of the map. So that's the game there. So, like I said earlier, the fact that you have to beat all the missions in order really irks me because of the difficulty of the game. I found that the puzzles sometimes weren't very intuitive or were difficult to balance everything in the game to kind of figure them out. So I didn't really like having to complete everything in order, including the tutorial. So like I said, I got stuck on the tutorial a couple times. To be able to access all the content of the game. That said, there are some interesting management aspects to it. There's having to manage your resources and balance things correctly and kind of keep an eye on a number of different things. The water level, the temperature, your fields, all that stuff to kind of figure out how to navigate each level. So, well, I think there may be a decent game in here somewhere. The level of difficulty, the interface with, look at this mess. How can you tell the difference between the different structures I have placed close together? By necessity, because of the level design. And just the way that some of the puzzles are out, kind of really detracts away from the positive aspects of the game. So that's all I have for today. Till next time, bye now.